There's a certain kind of betrayal that doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the person who knows how you sleep, how you move, and how you live. Because in this case, there was no forced entry, no struggle at the door, and no signs of a break in. Which means whoever killed Jocelyn Peters didn't have to break in, they were let in or they already had access. And that's what makes this story not only tragic but personal as hell. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Sister Signs and Red Flags, the podcast where astrology ain't therapy, but it's close. I'm your host, Lika, and if you're new here, hi, hello, and welcome to my show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're one of my people that's been with me since day one, watching every single upload, you already know love is love and will always be love, okay? Today's episode is another one for the Love You to Death series, where we get into real life stories of love, obsession, and betrayal. The red flags people often ignore until it's too late, and how astrology shows up in each and every case. And y'all, today's case, this one right here is very messy because what looked like a relationship was really a web of lies, and what felt like love was actually control. And what should have been the start of a new life ended in a murder during Aries season. Today, we're talking about the murder of Jocelyn Peters and how a man with multiple lives, multiple women, and one deadly plan turned deception into something fatal. All for $2,500. Dead ass. So let's get into it. Jocelyn Peters was born January 7, 1986 in St. Louis, Missouri, to her mother, Lacey Peters. There isn't a lot of public information available about Jocelyn's early life, but what we do know is that she was a Capricorn. And if you know Capricorn women, you already know they tend to be responsible, grounded, and very intentional about how they move. Jocelyn was a third grade teacher, but she wasn't just any teacher. The principal who hired her at Man Elementary described her as a fierce advocate for children, the kind of woman who didn't just show up. She was the kind of woman who poured into her students, constantly trying to find new ways to reach them, teach them, and help them grow. And when I tell you, baby, it showed, because in May 2014, Jocelyn received the Pettis the Pettis Foundation Award of Excellence, which is an award given to educators who inspire their students to achieve and who earn the respect and admiration of not just their students, but their parents and colleagues as well. In other words, honey, Jocelyn cared and she showed up for people. Her cousin Deidre said Jocelyn had a light around her at all times, and it was the kind of light that touched everyone she encountered. And when Jocelyn died, that loss was felt deeply by her family and her entire community. At the time of her death, Jocelyn was about 7 months pregnant, and she was preparing for the arrival of her baby girl, who she had affectionately named Micah Lee. She was working on baby shower invitations, getting ready for motherhood, and build the life she believed was ahead of her. But while Jocelyn was planning for a new life, someone else was planning her death. I'm going to try to refrain from cussing, but it may not be possible because this story is a lot. Jocelyn was in a long-term relationship with a man named Cornelius Green. Cornelius was an award-winning educator, a school principal, and a man many people admired and trusted. People trusted him so much that when he recommended Jocelyn for an open position at an elementary school, the principal took his word for it, interviewed her, and Jocelyn got that job. Girl, she was good at what she did, honey. That lady was so impressed with Jocelyn, got the job, and baby, her family, they absolutely loved Cornelius as well. I mean, everybody did. Jocelyn's cousin described him as being kind, very generous, and highly attentive to Jocelyn's needs. People said that he was absolutely smitten with Jocelyn and he pursued her persistently and relentlessly, baby. Buying her flowers, showing up for her 5K run. And baby, from the outside looking in, he seemed like the perfect match for her. And that's not to say that their relationship was perfect, because behind the scenes, Jocelyn was ready to build a life. Baby, she wanted a family. She wanted to buy a home. And while Cornelius did participate in all of these things, he did not seem as nearly as invested as Jocelyn. And that was actually a source of frustration and annoyance for her. Sometimes the person who ends up being the problem is the one that everybody thought was good. But then something changed. The week before Jocelyn was murdered, her and her family and Cornelius, they went on a cruise to the Bahamas to celebrate Jocelyn's birthday, albeit belated, but that was a big deal. She wanted to celebrate her birthday. And that's when people started noticing that something was off. They noticed that Cornelius wasn't his usual self. He wasn't like the life of the party that he had always been. He seemed quite distant and less attentive, especially with Jocelyn being 7 months pregnant with his child. Like the energy between them, it felt different. Her cousin said that she looked in his eyes and she kind of saw like an emptiness there. Like basically everything felt different and everybody could see it. And here's the thing, when something feels off, even if you can't explain it yet. So let me ask y'all something. Have you ever seen a couple and felt like something wasn't right between them before anything actually really popped off? If it's you, would you say something? Would you bring it up? Or would you just stay out of it? Let me know in the comments what you would do. Now, Jocelyn and her family were aware earlier on in their relationship that Cornelius was married to a woman named Stephanie and that they shared a young daughter. However, according to what they were told, Cornelius and Stephanie had been legally separated for quite some time. But here is the part that Jocelyn did not know. Jocelyn thought that she was the only woman in Cornelius' life, and she believed that he was divorcing his wife, and she legitimately thought that they were building a future together, because that's what he led her to believe. But baby, clearly this man did not have that same mindset, okay? Apparently, there were multiple women and multiple lives. In fact, there was at least one other woman who thought the same as Jocelyn, that she was the only one that he was seeing, and that they were also building a life together. And according to prosecutors, Cornelius had on multiple occasions tried to control Jocelyn and her pregnancies. Now, it's reported that she had miscarried before and actually terminated a pregnancy at Cornelius's urging. And baby, let me just say this. If you are a man and you don't want children, honey, just say that and wrap that shit up and get a vasectomy or something, okay? Don't just be going out here having sex with these women and then get upset when they get pregnant. The fuck is wrong with you? But I'm just saying, because you trying to control a woman's body like that, baby, that is not an act of love. In this case, baby, Jocelyn, Jocelyn was keeping her baby no matter what. And honey, let me tell you, the Capricorn in her, baby, she had a whole plan, honey. She had meal schedules written out on a whiteboard, making sure she was getting all the nutrients that she needed to bring a healthy baby girl into this world. While she was doing all of that, he was already thinking about how to stop it. So on March 24th, 2016, between the hours of 3 and 3:40 in the morning, Jocelyn was at home, just as pregnant as she could be, safe and at peace. She was asleep in her bed when an assailant entered her home and shot her in the eye with a .380 caliber semi-automatic pistol. The shell casing was found on the floor next to her nightstand, and investigators also noted that her cell phone was missing. And I will tell you that this was absolutely not random because there was no forced entry and no struggle at the door, which meant that the person who did this did not have to break in at all. Jocelyn and her child, Michael Lee, were both killed, but it was not by a stranger. It was by someone who had access to her home. Cornelius, the man who once doted on Jocelyn, hired his childhood friend, Philip Cutler, to kill her. And I kid you not, he paid him $2,500 to do so. $2,500 is what he valued Jocelyn's life and the life of his unborn child. Cornelius gave Cutler his keys as an alibi for himself. He was in Chicago and took a train to be there, but he gave Cutler his keys to his car and to Jocelyn's apartment. Baby, full access. This man did not have to break in. He walked in and he shot her while she was pregnant, while she was at her home, while she was preparing for the arrival of Micah Lee. And this part right here, it gets even more chilling because days before her murder, Cornelius had Jocelyn buy potatoes, and baby, those same potatoes, one of them was used as a silencer on the gun that killed her. And at 6:14 that morning, Cutler confirmed that Jocelyn was dead and so was her baby. And Cornelius got his ass back on the train, bought a train ticket to come back to Missouri from Chicago. If that wasn't a fucking enough, it does get worse. After the murder, Cornelius tried to get Jocelyn's mother to go and check on her, knowing damn well what she was gonna find when she was gonna get there. The nerve and the audacity of this motherfucker, okay? And when I tell y'all that is not panic, baby, that was completely calculated. And you're not gonna believe this. That $2,500, the money he used to hire Cutler to kill Jocelyn, baby, it came from funds stolen from children. A school fundraiser for the damn dance team, honey. He stole $2,700. He literally stole from children to pay for the murder of his own fucking child. And I want to say this carefully because before this ever became a murder for hire plot, it absolutely started with intention. According to investigators, Cornelius had already been researching ways to secretly end Jocelyn's pregnancy. He was looking up how to crush pills and hide them in food that will potentially cause an abortion, and hide them in food that she eats, like oatmeal and yogurt. So this absolutely did not start with a gun, honey. It started with control. And when that didn't work, he escalated. And Jocelyn's students, the same children she poured so much into every day, had to be told their teacher was murdered. The principal at the time, Dr. Nicole Conaway, said, "I will never forget the pain in their eyes." Like, that is some kind of trauma that you never forget it. I don't even know if you ever get over it, especially for children that age. Interesting thing about this case is that when police later detained Cutler, because they went through all of the things to connect the dots, this ninja ate 2 pages. I find it hilarious. I'm laughing, but he did. He ate 2 pages from a notebook. Like, just ate them right there in the police department, honey. Why would you even keep something that was on a notebook that could incriminate you to the point that, like, you eating it in the police station so the folks cannot use it against you for evidence? So I just gotta ask y'all, what y'all think was on those pages for real? Because it's almost kind of nonsensical to me. But maybe you can make sense of it. Some people say that's not being panicked. That's trying to hide something so that it could never be found. To say the least, maybe both of those men were eventually convicted. Cornelius, like the coward that he is, took a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. Because he knew he was going to be found guilty. It was too much evidence. And Cutler went to trial and was found guilty on all charges, as he should have been. And both men received 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. They will die in prison. Before we close the case out, you already know that this would not be sister signs and red flags if we did not discuss the astrology. And I'm going to give you 2 little caveats. I'm going to talk about the murder chart for that day, and I'm also going to talk about Jocelyn's birth chart as well because it is important. And even though I do not have Cornelius or Cutler's birth information, I want y'all to just guess in the comments what you think their signs were. But I'm going to tell you, sometimes the chart, it does not just reflect the story, baby. It does confirm it. And in this case, it absolutely does. And this is in relation to the murder chart. Again, this happened on March 24th, 2016. They said between 3 and 3:40 in the morning. So I use 3:15 in the morning just kind of as a little leeway. And I'm going to tell you that the energy in this chart is absolutely loud. There's a heavy Aries presence sitting in the part of the chart that rules the home and what happens behind closed doors. So right away, this tells us that this was not random, honey. This was something that happened in a place that was supposed to be safe. And we all know that Aries energy is action. It's fast, direct, and decisive. It does not wait. But here's the thing. This wasn't just impulsive, right? It was definitely planned because the same chart also points to hidden actions and things happening behind the scenes and decisions being made in secret. And honestly, we both know that this is true because he did not confront her. He did not argue with her. He actually just hired someone. And that makes it a little different because that's not rage, honey. It's definitely intention. There's also strong Pisces energy here, which deals with deception, illusion, and things not being what they seem. And mainly we're speaking in terms of the shadow side of most of these signs. Baby, it's giving lies, double lies, and emotional manipulation. And at the center of it all is a relationship. This was personal. And when you put it all together, the chart tells a very clear story. A relationship built on deception, which led to a planned act carried out in a private space that eventually became public. And that is exactly what happened to Jocelyn. And when you look at Jocelyn's chart, of course, I did not have her exact time of birth, but so I don't have houses, rising sign, that kind of thing. But the planets, where they were, typically doesn't change too much. So when you look at Jocelyn's chart, it tells a completely different story because she had very strong Capricorn energy. And I'm going to just be for real. Capricorn women don't play about building something real. This is commitment. She desires stability and long-term plan. That's Capricorn mindset. So when she wanted a baby and a home, that was not her asking for too much. That was her being exactly who she was. But while she was trying to build a future, someone else had made a decision to end it. And quite frankly, that's the part that hurts the most. Jocelyn was not asking for too much. She was asking for something real, and in the wrong hands, that became the very thing that put her in danger, unfortunately. Jocelyn didn't ask for chaos. She didn't ask for deception. All she wanted was to build a life, and someone else decided that that was inconvenient for them. And I want to leave y'all with this. At what point did this cross the line? Was it the lies, the double life, the pregnancy, the planning, or was the line crossed long before that and nobody saw it? Because sometimes the red flags aren't loud. Sometimes they're calculated. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hype. Until next time, y'all, stay cute, stay petty, and be safe out there. Bye.